Traffic has always been a huge problem in the US, taking away hours or days from people's lives. It's one of the biggest time wasters in the world. America has been trying to reduce traffic for almost a century now, using new tactics from trying to expand roads by adding more lanes to getting rid of the roads in question. One of these recent tactics is the high-occupancy vehicle lane, or carpool lane. In theory, the idea wasn't bad, but it didn't work. Today we're going to explore this topic and answer the question of why carpool lanes failed America. Before that though, I wanted to ask if you would please consider subscribing to the channel. I make weekly geography content like this, so if that's the type of thing you'd enjoy, I highly encourage you to simply click the red button below the video. Thank you. So let's start by going back to the basics. An HOV lane is a restricted traffic lane, reserved for the exclusive use of vehicles with one or more passengers to go with their driver. This is to encourage people to ride with a friend to gain the ability to use the HOV lane and save time. Carpool lanes were introduced in the US slowly during the 1970s and 80s, with the first instance of an HOV lane being in Northern Virginia between Washington, D.C. and the Capitol Beltway. At this time, it was called a busway because it was meant for large transit vehicles. 4 years later, the lane was opened to not only buses, but cars with 4 or more occupants. In 2005, the 2 lanes that were currently HOV, 3+ occupancy, carried a total of 31,700 people in the morning rush, with an average of 3.7 persons per vehicle. The 3 general purpose lanes carried 23,500 people, with an average of 1.1 persons per vehicle. This seems to be simple proof that HOV lanes work, but it simply isn't. I'll go over that reason later on in this video. California is the state known best for HOV lanes, with the first permanent lane coming in the San Francisco Bay Bridge toll plaza. Now, South California has 813 miles of HOV lanes, with 84 new miles under construction. Utah has the longest HOV lane in the U.S., extending 72 miles across the Salt Lake City area. Throughout the U.S., there are over 1,000 miles of these lanes through 27 metropolitan areas in the country. So it's pretty widespread, which should mean they work and are a good idea, because so many cities have them and are building more. But that's simply not the case. So let's go over the reasons why these lanes just don't really do what they're supposed to. Starting with the main reason why they were created in the first place, to encourage carpooling. So back in the 1980s, when people started to notice that so many cars were not good for the environment, the government tried its hardest to make these people happy. One of these ways was trying to get people to ride together, in turn reducing the amount of cars on the road. To do this, they created carpool lanes. Drivers would decide to go with a friend so they could save time by using the HOV lane. This was not a bad idea, and if it worked, would definitely have helped traffic, but it didn't. This new lane, instead of doing what it was supposed to, appealed to drivers already carpooling, instead of the drivers who may choose to carpool. So instead of reducing traffic, the lane was just used by families, meaning it would pretty much just be better as general purpose. Second reason, these lanes only work if the freeway that they are on is already congested, in turn making the extra lane quicker. If it takes the same amount of time to take this lane as it does to take the other lanes, people won't carpool, because it's simply not worth the time. Third reason, which is a bit less major, carpool lanes a lot of the time are just used illegally by single-use cars looking to get to their destination quickly. Think of it this way, you're late for work and stuck in traffic with no signs of stopping. You can switch into the HOV lane and get to your destination on time, and even though you may have to pay a fine, your job could be at stake, which makes it worth the money. This happens everywhere, and whenever I look at places, you see people talking about how they just see one-person vehicles speeding along the carpool lane with nobody stopping them. A lot of the time, these lanes are just underused. I know induced traffic is a thing and all that, but having a lane with basically nobody in it, instead of just making it general purpose, seems so worthless. And even though this is not the best way to do it, I will say it would probably be better than nothing. The real thing that should be done with these HOV lanes brings us to Orlando, Florida, to look at I-4 Ultimate, a new project in the city. This added 4 new express lanes to the highway, and has actually helped traffic, because it's genuinely a good idea. The highway going through Orlando is very dangerous, and never a fun drive. There will be bumper-to-bumper traffic at rush hour, and when there are less cars on the road, you'll see so many drivers speeding around you recklessly. If you pay the simple money to use the express lanes, you don't have to deal with as many other drivers, and it's a safer trip than normal. You can choose to risk it if you want, but if you have the extra money, using these express lanes could save your life. In an ideal world, this should be built all across the country, especially in the 27 metropolitan areas that currently have HOV lanes. You convert those lanes into express, it gains money for the city, as well as reducing traffic in a way that actually makes sense. Now sure, this won't reduce the total amount of cars on the road, and obviously the best way to do that would be investing in alternatives off the road. But we already proved that the HOV lanes don't do that either. So switching to a way that actually makes sense would work a lot better than whatever they're doing right now. Overall, carpool lanes are going to go down as a failure. And I don't know when that will be and when cities will finally give up on them, but I know it will happen at some point in the future, because these lanes are just not the best way to do things. Thanks for watching. Thank you to the members this week: Karen Hudson 81, Haystack, Benjamin Whiting, Ryan Devins, Hazev the Wolf, Jake Holloway, Somnam Woods, JL, Jeremy Crone, Carport, Dominic Psyche, Rosebud 4, and Bryson. Thank you all so much. I genuinely just really appreciate it. If you want to become a member, the link is in the description below, as well as next to the subscribe button where you can click the join button. This is basically just giving me money on a monthly basis. That's all going straight into my college savings. So if you want to support me as a person specifically because you enjoy these videos, that's the best way to do it. Thank you.